Milwaukee, summer, the early 90s. An ordinary American city. Breweries, factories, quiet streets. People went to work, children played in the yards, and in the evenings, the windows of the apartment blocks lit up. And in one of those apartments, something had been happening for years that an entire country would later refuse to believe. The man who lived there was named Jeffrey Dahmer. He was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee. An ordinary family. His father was a chemist. His mother was a homemaker. Later, the family moved to Ohio, to the quiet town of Bath. A house among the trees, woods behind the fence, a school bus in the mornings. From the outside, a completely ordinary childhood. But at school, Jeffrey was already strange. Quiet, withdrawn, an almost invisible boy. He brought home dead animals he found on the road. He took them apart. He studied the bones. He kept them in jars behind the house. The adults called it a teenage phase. His parents were fighting during those years. The divorce was ugly. By the summer of '78, the house was practically empty. Jeffrey had just finished school. He was 18, and he was left in that house alone. On June 18, 1978, he picked up a hitchhiker on the road, Stephen Hicks, 19 years old. He was coming back from a rock concert. Dahmer offered him a drink at his house. Stephen Hicks never walked out of that house. Dahmer hid his body right there on the property, behind the house among the trees, and for the next 13 years, no one knew. After that came an attempt to live a normal life, university, and expulsion after the first semester. The army, service in Germany as a medic. He was a decent soldier, but he drank more and more. In '81, he was discharged because of alcohol. Then came the return to Wisconsin, to his grandmother's house in West Allis, a job at a chocolate factory, night shifts, a blue work uniform, an ordinary worker, one of thousands. In the autumn of '87, 9 years had passed since the first killing, and then it started again. Stephen Twomey, a hotel room in downtown Milwaukee. After that, the gaps between the killings grew shorter and shorter. Dahmer met men in bars and shopping malls. He offered money for photographs. He offered a drink. He invited them home. And almost always they said yes, because he did not look dangerous. Tall, fair-haired, glasses, polite, a little shy. The kind of man you walk into the night with without a second thought. In '88, the system got its first chance. Dahmer was arrested for sexual assault of a 13-year-old boy. A trial, a sentence, a year in a work-release correctional center. He told the judge he had slipped, and that he understood everything now. The judge believed him. In 1990, Dahmer rented apartment number 213, Oxford Apartments, North 25th Street, a small apartment in a poor neighborhood. The neighbors complained about the smell. He said the freezer had broken, that the meat had gone bad. He carried a barrel of acid into the building and said it was for cleaning. They believed him. Everyone believed him. Behind that wall stood the barrel, the freezer, and boxes with what was left of people. On May 27, 1991, there was a second chance. A boy ran out of that apartment into the street, 14 years old, Konarak Synthesomphone. He was naked, bleeding, barely conscious of where he was. 2 women from the neighboring building called the police. The officers arrived. Dahmer calmly explained that this was his drunk adult boyfriend and that they had argued. The officers did not believe the women. They believed him. They walked the boy back into the apartment and drove away. Konarak died that same night, and Dahmer went on killing for almost 2 more months. On July 22, 1991, it ended. A man ran out of apartment 213, Tracy Edwards, with a handcuff on his wrist. He flagged down a patrol car on the street. The officers went up to the apartment just to check his story. They opened a desk drawer and saw the photographs. Then they opened the refrigerator. One of the officers ran out into the hallway. The remains of 11 people were found in that apartment. In total, there were 17 victims. The first was 19. The youngest was 14. The killing stretched across 13 years. The trial began in January of '92. Dahmer denied nothing. He admitted all of it. The defense tried to prove insanity. The jury decided he was sane and knew exactly what he was doing. 15 life sentences in Wisconsin, and one more later in Ohio for Stephen Hicks. More than 900 years in prison. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was sent to clean the gym at Columbia Correctional Institution. 2 other inmates worked alongside him. A few minutes later, the guards found him on the floor. He was killed by another inmate, Christopher Scarver, with a metal bar. Jeffrey Dahmer was 34 years old. But the most frightening part of this story is not what happened inside apartment 213. It is how many times he was stopped and let go. The police standing in his doorway, the judge who believed in his remorse, the neighbors who accepted the story about the smell. He never truly hid. He simply looked like an ordinary man, and that was enough for 13 years.